So this is February 6, 2015, and this is a special episode. This is the first time we are streaming live to our audience. Hope we have a numerous audience that today will come here to listen us talk a bit about some interesting announcements that the camera industry just released. First of all, I want to introduce my guest today. And we have Eric Cote from Canada. Hi, Eric. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing fine, thanks. It's cold out here, so I'm with my tea this morning.
It's cold here too. We have snow. First time in this week. Some real snow.
It was minus 31 this morning when I woke up. So.
And we have Mathieu Gasquet here. Hi, Mathieu.
Hi, Google. How are you doing?
Doing good. So, Mathieu was lucky enough to be able to get his hands on a copy of the new Olympus and EM5 for a few weeks. He just published a review on his website.
Still here.
So this is the new camera that Olympus just announced yesterday, basically. And Mathieu already has a complete review on his website, mirrorlessons.com. So for people who haven't yet read your review, can you give us the gist of what is this camera about? What's so new? It's from what I understand, it's a Mark II model, but it's actually a pretty innovative and new camera with respect to the previous iteration of the EM5.
Yeah, that's correct. It's a worthwhile upgrade from the previous EM5, and it has lots of enhancement of technologies that previous OMD cameras already has, and it has also new functionalities. The major new function of this camera is called high-res shot. So it allows the camera to produce a very high-resolution image, 40 megapixel image in JPEG, and a 64 megapixel image in RAW file with a RAW file. So, and basically it uses the sensor shifting technology. So the same technology that gives also internal stabilization with the OMD cameras. And the camera takes 8 pictures in a row, so 8 different pictures, and between each pictures, it slightly moves the sensor by half a pixel. And so the camera collects data from pixel in 8 different positions, and then combine all this information to create a super high image. And again, 40 megapixel with the JPEG and 64 megapixel with the RAW file. It's a similar technology that actually the Hasselblad has on one of the medium format camera. I don't remember exactly the name. I think it's the H4L or H4S something. Basically, from 50 megapixel, you can have a 200 megapixel photograph. And but the Hasselblad can shift the sensor by 1 pixel, and the Olympus does it by half a pixel. So it's similar, but with a different behavior. And so that's the main new function of the camera. They also improved the 5-axis stabilization. So 5-axis stabilization is one of the best feature that Olympus always had on his cameras, in particular the OMD cameras, and also the EP5. And they improved it. So now you can compensate up to 5 stops when shooting stills. To me, basically, it means that I can take handheld shots at 1 second with this camera. So it's quite amazing if you think about it, to have such a technology today. I even managed to get sharp shot at 2 seconds. I needed a lot of attempts to achieve that, but I mean, 2-second handheld. I mean, you know, it's kind of crazy if you think about it. And they also improved it for video footage, for video recording. So, and previous OMD cameras use 3 axes only for video in video mode, and the M5 Mark II now uses 5 axes also in video mode, and it can be really, really good. I tried different kind of shot, and sometimes it almost remind me like Steadicam shots. Not as good as Steadicam shots, but really close. So it's definitely a welcome feature, also because now this camera is the first Olympus camera that gets more serious about video. I mean, you have previous OMD cameras were limited to 30 frames per second, and they didn't have any time code or all the settings that filmmakers need. Quality wasn't great, and now the FR Mark II have multiple frame rates, so you can choose from 24 up to 60 frames per second. You have time code, you have a microphone input to I don't know if you can see it very well. Anyway, you have a mini jack input for a microphone. I mean, overall, it's now a more serious tool for filmmakers. It's not as advanced as a certain Lumix camera like the GH4, but it can be enough for many applications. And the 5-axis stabilization is certainly a big plus. So those are the main new features. There's also the electronic shutter as well. That was missing on the other OMD cameras. And then, I mean, other ergonomic and design things. I mean, you have a flipping, rotating screen. The viewfinder is the same as the M1. You have improved dials and button layout. So, basic stuff you usually find in new cameras.
So before we proceed with more in-depth analysis of this new camera, I want to remember our viewers that are following us on Google Plus that there is a Q&A interface on the page, so they can ask questions. They will appear here on my screen, and we can try to answer some of the questions that our audience wants to ask. So it looks like that there's a lot of innovation in this camera. What do you think, Eric? Are you going to get one?
I sold my EM5 last fall. Even if I love that camera, there was some missing things that that I could not live without it, and they seem to have resolved all that with the EM5 Mark II. The first thing is the shutter speed that you can get now to 1/8000 in a second, and there's the electronic shutter that goes up to 1/16,000. So that's a great thing. Better video capabilities. That's the setter point for me. I saw some footage from the new camera, and it looks amazing. The stabilization in video is really awesome. I even wonder if you need a Steadicam anymore to use that. The better EVF, better stabilization. That's the stabilization inside the EM5 Mark I was already awesome, and that they were able to make it even better. That's pretty amazing. That's impressive.
Mathieu, do you know what is going to be the price point of this camera?
Not yet, but I think it will be around 1,000, probably.
Yeah, that's
1,000 something euros.
That's a great price for such a concentrate of technology. It's,
yeah, in Canada, it's the same price that when they launched the EM5 Mark I. It's set at $1,099. It's the same price in the US, I think. When you check the pre-order site, like B&H, and if you check Henry's in Canada, they have it for pre-order at $1,099.
wow.
Yeah, it's between the price of the M10 and the M1, so I think it makes sense.
I'm really curious about this pixel sensor shifting technology, where you can get a really high resolution image. What do you think are the applications of this technology? And I know that there are some limitations. Do you want to expand a bit on the limitations?
Yeah. So yes. Well, basically the limitation is that the camera needs to be on a tripod, and moving subject won't work. Since the camera takes 8 different pictures, one after the other, even if it takes it really, really quickly because it uses the electronic shutter, so it can, the process is actually very quick, but still, it's 8 shots one after the other. So if you have a car passing by, for example, the result in the final image, you will have this car like multiplied in a weird, some kind of weird artifact on the photograph. And also, I try to take one handheld shot with the high resolution function, even by using a very fast shutter speed, but it just doesn't work. I mean, the result is, even it appears good, as soon as you zoom in a little bit, you will see that actually it's blurry and there's not a lot of details. So yes, it's limited to certain applications. I can think of still lifes, for example. So since the flash are fully operational with this function, you can use it for studio work. You can use it for landscape works, but with certain things you need to be aware of. First, if there is even maybe there is some wind, like wind moving branches in the trees, etc., you might get some small issues in some portion of the image. Or if there is a river, for example, the ripples in the river can have some weird effect. You will only notice it if you really zoom at 100%, but they will still be there, simply because, again, it's 8 shots combined in one photograph. So certain elements in your landscape photograph can be altered. I mean, but if you have a very clean scenery with nothing is moving, or for architecture shots as well, it can work really well, and there's a lot of details. There's also a better color accuracy because basically the camera collects more data from the pixels. So yeah, there's definitely an improving in image quality, but again, it's limited to certain application. I mean, I actually thanks to one of your tutorial on YouTube, Hugo, I also suggest a technique you can use by stacking different photographs on Photoshop to get rid of some unwanted elements. So, for example, if you're shooting a square downtown and there are some pedestrians passing by, you can take multiple high-res shots and then combine them with Photoshop and remove the pedestrian, I mean the people in the photograph. So there can be different tips to overcome some of these limitations, but overall it's limited to tripod and non-moving subjects.
I can imagine that somebody wanting to shoot landscapes in some remote location that needs hiking, they will now be able to carry a much lighter backpack and still get, I mean, maybe not medium format quality, but something that approaches that. And the small sensor is probably not an issue in this case because you need good depth of field anyway. Instead, it's going to be a feature and not a limitation. So that's really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Other limitation also when usually you shoot landscape, you also like to use slow exposures, like using ND filter and slow exposure. So with this high resolution function, the lower shutter speed is limited to 8 seconds. Also, the aperture is limited to f8. And so I try to take some long exposure shot, and but to also see if I could, for example, limited the artifacts on ripple of a river, for example, and it's actually enhanced a little bit with a slower shutter speed, but they're still there. I guess you would need a very like a 20 or 30 seconds shutter speed to really have a better result regarding these small little artifacts. But again, it's limited to 8 seconds probably because if you choose 8 seconds, it means that the camera will take 8 shots at 8 seconds of shutter speed each. So it's more than a 1 minute process.
When you say it's limited to an aperture of f8, do you mean you cannot stop it down more than f8?
You can go, yeah, you can go slower than f8. and probably because it eliminates the problem of diffraction. Since f8 usually it's the best aperture for micro four thirds, and after f8 you start to have diffraction problems, so they just limited the aperture so that you always know you get the best resolution, the best sharpness.
Mm-hmm. So you can go 5.6, 4,
Yeah.
2.8, and so on. We have
I saw an example.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I saw an example on imaging resource yesterday. It was a product shot, and they were comparing the Nikon D810, I think, with the IBIS picture, and the difference was with the Olympus you had no moire problems, and on the D110 you were seeing all the typical moire pattern on the bottle, the beer bottle. It was impressive. Result was better with the EM5 Mark II than with the D810. So product photography is probably one of the market that might be interested by this new camera.
Yes, that's basically that's the shift, the pixel shifting technology, that allows you to reduce moire as well. Again, because the camera collects data from pixel in different positions, so there's no interpolating process, and therefore you don't have moire issues. And so yes, that's another advantage. Yeah, so I saw that comparison too with the D810, and I mean it's the DM5 Mark II can basically give you the same kind of quality regarding details and sharpness.
We have a question here from Christian Peets, one of our viewers, who is asking, compared to the OMD EM1, do you think they have done better with the EM5 II? Or in other words, why should you buy an EM1 today when there is the EM5 II out on the market? So Eric, do you maybe want to say something about it?
The difference, the first difference, if you want to buy EM1, EM5, the difference between EM1 or EM5 Mark I?
No, the EM1 says, why should I get the EM1 now that the EM5 is out and it's so much better in many respects?
That's a good question. I guess maybe the M1 is a little bit better in autofocus. I'm not sure about that, but the M1 is still have the hybrid autofocus, and the M5 has just contrast detection autofocus. Is that right, Mathieu?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's yes, that's
but
one.
Besides,
yeah, sorry, go on.
Besides that, I'm not sure I would buy an EM1 today. I would probably wait for the EM5 Mark II. Anyway, I always preferred the design of the EM5 over the EM1. I found it more beautiful, and from what I saw about the new EM5, there's a lot of customization options available, a lot of buttons, so it should be really quick to use. You can maybe tell us more about that, Mathieu?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. Well, as you said, the M1 has face detection autofocus system, so that's an advantage for continuous IF, and also for users that still have the old 4-third lenses by Olympus, and that's one of the reasons the M1 was designed, is to give the possibility to use the 4-third lenses, so the Olympus DSLR lenses with the M1. So that's one of the advantages of the M1. Then also now the M1 received a new firmware update that increased the continuous shooting mode in IFC. It's now 9 frames per second. So I would say that for sport photography, and probably the M1 is still better than the M4 Mark II. outside of that, I would say that the M4 Mark II is definitely a more interesting camera now because of the electronic shutter, which is very helpful in some situations, because of the improved 5-axis stabilization, because of the improved movie mode. So, I mean, I guess that sooner or later we will have to see an M1 Mark II with new features as well.
Yeah, there's no end to the cycle of innovation, but I mean, we have this camera now, and it costs $1,000, and it has you can take 10 frames per second. So if you want to shoot your kids running in the park or a football game, you can. I've always heard that the Olympus have got pretty good autofocus. It has a flipping screen. I think it has Wi-Fi. Mm-hmm. And if you are into fine art or product shoot, you can take 64 megapixel images. And you have a great set of lenses because you can use all the micro four thirds lenses. And on the other hand, I see Canon announcing the 5DR with 50 megapixels, and I say, meh, whatever. Who cares? There's nothing interesting in that camera. It's just more megapixels. It looks like the Olympus and other mirrorless vendors like Sony with its new 5-axis image stabilization in body 2. They're really stealing the thunder from anything that Nikon or Canon are doing at the time. What's your impression?
But the good news about the Canon is that probably Sony will come up with a mirrorless camera with a 50 megapixel sensor. If it's true that the sensors are made by Sony, so you know.
True.
Well, yeah, it's true that these cameras are becoming more and more advanced. And that's what's interesting. And I mean, particularly for the micro four thirds system, I think it's nice to have such a feature that allows you to have such a high megapixel image. I mean, and what's interesting as well, it's a function, so you can use it or just disable it and use the camera normally with its 60 megapixel sensor. So you're not constrained to that very high megapixel all the time. You activate it when you need to, and then you go back to the original megapixel count of the sensor. So again, it's something extra that you can use or not, but it's a nice addition for the micro four thirds system that becomes even more complete than what it was before. And so that's definitely interesting.
It looks like something that you can use in the studio professionally or in the field on a tripod. You want to do great landscapes with high resolution for printing big, but you want to go on vacation with your family. You can just put that camera with a zoom in your bag, mm-hmm. and you will be fine shooting all day long. Great pictures with what I think is also an easy-to-use camera. Very compact.
Oh yeah, very easy.
Just great. If I hadn't committed myself to a Fuji-based system, I think getting one.
Well, you know, some photographers use more than one system, so
yeah,
you can always.
I can always have Olympus and Fuji. And it does also pretty decent video, right? With stabilization too.
I missed you on that. You're cutting a bit. What did you say?
I said it also does a pretty good video. Pretty good video performance.
Yes.
Yeah. What was missing from the EM5 Mark I? The video codecs were pretty bad. The stabilization was still working nice, but you had absolutely no room to work with your video files after that. With the new codec, the all-I codec with 77 megabit per second, I think it will be better. I didn't try it, but from what I saw online of some video that were shot with that, the result is really impressive. And seriously, the stabilization makes a big difference, a really, really big difference. Shaky video, shaky footage is bad. with Panasonic, you have what you can do to help. If you shoot in 4K, you have a lot more room to work with the file, to crop it, to stabilize it. But with the M5 at 1080p, it should be smooth and stable from the start, so it will help a bit. I understand that they did not put 4K video in there yet. Maybe we will see that in the EM1 Mark II. But my guess is that it's probably a lot harder to stabilize 4K video than to stabilize 1080p. I might be saying silly things there, but I think it's probably one of the reasons they stuck with the 1080p.
Yeah, well, I think that's maybe that's one of the reasons. But yeah, the 4K is missing on this camera. It might come in the next Olympus cameras. I guess probably they need a new processor engine to be able to deal with 4K as well. I mean, the M5 Mark II has the TruePic 7, which is the same as the M1 and the M10. So it's the latest processor engine they have, but probably we have a new one that can also handle 4K, and I'm sure they will add 4K in the future, because that seems where the industry is going now for video. So, but I mean, this is a good step forward for Olympus regarding video. So I guess we cannot ask for too much for now. But yes, I'm sure that yes, it's true that 4K with 4K video you can stabilize the shot after in After Effects and crop a little. It's not perfect. I tried different kind of shot with the 5-axis stabilization, and it works well, but you also have to practice a little. I saw some videos on the internet that are really good. Recently, For Rumors shared a video made by John Bowley, which is an Australian filmmaker that probably many people know him because he tested all the Blackmagic cinema cameras. And he made a very nice, very beautiful video that you can see on Vimeo. But he used handheld shot, but he also used a gimbal stabilizer for certain movements. And that's one of the things I also said in one of my video review about this camera, is that just handheld like this, so holding just with your hands, it can do a very good job, but sometimes you can also have some unwanted effect, like sometimes the stabilization can overreact and actually stabilize too much, and so you get some sudden sideways shift like this. So you have your subject in the middle, and suddenly it will be more on the left or on the right, and if you do multiple attempts for the same shot, it actually gets better. So I guess it's a question also how you handle the camera, how you move with it. If you like working forward and then you start to panning on the left, and you just panning with your hands, your arms, or if you also turn with your body, that might affect how the stabilization operates. So it's you have to get a good feeling with the camera. But that's also the nice thing. There are many accessories today designed to improve the stabilization in video mode for many cameras. So I mean, the M5 Mark II with an additional accessory that's designed to stabilize the shot even further, basically you probably can get rid of a Steadicam. I mean, already today many camera operator, many filmmakers are using different alternative stabilization systems, and it works well. I mean, with the M5 Mark II, it might become even better, even easier to do that.
So, any drawbacks? Anything that you don't like about this camera, or you think they might have done better, or anything that is missing?
Not really. I mean, one small complaint, but that's really become very picky. So with the original M5, you have an option on landscape and battery grip that you can attach to the camera to get more power and also have a better grip. And there's actually a new landscape grip for the M5 Mark II that also has a headphone output, so you can record video and listen what you're recording. But this new grip is not compatible with the old M5, so vice versa, the old landscape grip is not compatible with the new camera. So if you own an original M5, you own the optional grips, and you buy the M5 Mark II, you have also to buy the new landscape grip to use the external grip. So that's a small complaint, but I mean, it's not the end of the world, I guess. But real issues or drawbacks with the camera, no, I haven't found many so far. I mean, it's the image quality is overall the same as the M1 or the M10 because basically the sensors are very similar. The processor engine is the same. The autofocus works well. I haven't tried it yet in continuous mode, so I guess it won't be as good as the M1, but apparently they improved the algorithm with the processor engine as well. So we'll have to see. Very good high ISO performance for a micro four thirds camera, and yeah, I mean there's no real particular issues about some limitation like the array shot and other things. So right now it's a very good camera.
So you would definitely recommend an upgrade to people who have the first version?
Well, if they seek for a better video camera and they can take advantage of the array shot function, yes, why not? Sure, it's a worthwhile upgrade. It always comes down to your needs. I mean, if you're fine with your camera, you might not need to upgrade, but if you need those new functionalities, then sure, why not?
Good.
Two things would make me upgrade. The new shutter speed and the Wi-Fi. That's two things I was missing from my EM5 Mark I. So those two things would be enough for me to upgrade because that's two things I'm using every day. So for that, I would upgrade.
So great. We live in interesting times, and it looks like luckily the industry is giving us innovation finally. After maybe a while where we didn't see much innovation in cameras, now we're really starting to see somebody think out of the box, and that's great, I think. And the other vendors will follow suit with more innovation. That's good for us. So I would like to thank you, both of you, Eric and Mathieu, for being with us today. I hope our viewers found this interesting. For those who were not able to attend live, this was organized a bit at the last minute, so we had some constraints with respect to time. Maybe the time is not convenient for everyone, especially our friends on the West Coast. It's a bit early in the morning for them, but they will be able to catch up with the recording and get these very interesting insights on the camera. So I would like to, Eric, if you want to let our viewers know where they can find you, where you can be found online.
They can find you on my blog at mirrorlessjourney.com, Twitter at mirrorlessj, Facebook Mirrorless Journey. Every link is on my blog at mirrorlessjourney.com. Thank you, Hugo.
Mathieu?
And Mathieu.
Right, thank you, Eric.
Where can people find you, Mathieu?
Well, mirrorlesson.com and of course Twitter, Facebook, and also our Google Plus community. So if they all call Mirrorlesson. So if you look for Mirrorlesson on the social network, you will find us. The links are also on the website, so you will find them as easily. Also YouTube and Flickr if you want 500 pixels.
And they can be found on ucphoto.me, that is my website, and fstoplounge.com, and we will publish this on the fstop lounge blog, probably, I hope tomorrow, if I can find some time to edit and republish it. We have one last minute question, again from Christian. If you still have like 2 minutes, we can maybe answer this one. And the question is, can you explain in simple words how the new digital electronic shutter works? Who wants to take this?
In simple words, yeah.
If it's simple.
Yeah, well, I mean, basically the camera doesn't use the mechanical shutter to take the picture, and so this allows the camera to be completely silent, and also to have to increase the shutter speed. You can shoot at 1 of 60,000 of a second. And so that's the basic functionality of the electronic shutter. Now, I don't know if he wants to know exactly how technically it works. I'm not sure if I answered the question correctly.
The way the electronic shutter works is that the camera will turn on the sensor and then turn it off.
Yeah.
Very fast. And
exactly.
Instead of using the mechanical shutter that the sensor would be on, but then you have the shutter curtains that will go up and up again and close. And there not being any mechanical parts moving, the camera is able to get a faster shutter speed. Now, the problem with the electronic shutter is that the camera has to, the processor has to read the data of the sensor while the image is being acquired on the sensor. And since the image is not read in one single moment, but it's read line by line on a CMOS sensor, you might have some artifacts like rolling shutter effects. If you're shooting, you're panning, and you have a straight vertical line, that vertical line might be slanted, and you might have problems with flickering lights, fluorescent lights that flutter and flicker, and you might have bending artifacts and so on. But if you want to go above the speed that is available, that is allowed by the mechanical shutter, you can use the electronic shutter. Just be aware of the limitations. That's my understanding, at least.
Yeah, exactly. Very simple explanation. I could have done that like this.
Yeah, I'm an engineer. I know those things.
Oh.
I hope so. Okay, so thank you again, and have a nice day, and I'll see you next time.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you.